Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful framework from strategist Dr. Lydia Costapolz. It's all about revealing the hidden forces that are shaping our world. These are the non-negotiable rules that pretty much dictate everything, from global politics all the way down to your own future. And, understanding them, it's just not optional anymore.
You ever get that feeling that the people in charge, leaders of countries, CEOs of companies, it's like they didn't get the memo about how the world is fundamentally changing? Well, guess what? This is the memo. So let's read it together.
Okay, so the core idea here is something Dr. Costapolz calls strategic centers of gravity. Now think about that name. Just like physical gravity is this force you absolutely cannot escape, these are 5 forces that set the rules for, well, everything. International relations, global business, and you can't negotiate with them. Ignoring them isn't a strategy, it's a huge liability. So what are these fundamental laws? These 5 forces that are shaping reality? Well, they're the foundation of everything. Any plan you can think of, a national security strategy, a corporate 5-year plan, even your own retirement savings, is going to feel the pull of these forces. First up, we've got the absolute bedrock, the most fundamental force of all, food and water. This is a center of gravity because without it, absolutely nothing else matters. We're already at a point where a quarter of the entire world's population faces extremely high water stress. And that number, it's only getting worse. It is the ultimate non-negotiable. All right, next up is energy. So if food and water power our bodies, energy is what powers our entire civilization. It's the economic table stakes. The kind of energy society has access to, well, that directly translates into what it can do, what it can build, and what its place in the world is going to be. It literally sets the limit on what's possible. And what's so fascinating when you look at it this way is how energy and power are completely intertwined. Every single shift, from whale oil letting factories run through the night to petroleum making global supply chains possible, it didn't just power new machines. No, it completely redrew the map of who held economic and geopolitical power. Now, layered right on top of that energy base, you've got technology. Think of it as the ultimate force multiplier. Technology is what takes all that raw energy and transforms it into actual value. It's what decides who's winning in the modern economy, whether we're talking about AI, biotech, or anything in between. The fourth force is demographics. And as the saying goes, demographics is destiny. For the very first time in industrial history, our planet has more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 5. Just let that sink in. That's a massive, monumental shift that's going to totally revamp our world, from how we work to how we care for people. And this chart, it just brilliantly shows this huge divergence that's happening right now. You have some nations, what's called the silver tsunami, that are facing potential stagnation because of aging populations. But at the exact same time, you have other places with a demographic dividend. Tons of young people, like in India and Nigeria, and they are poised to become the new engines of global growth. And that brings us to the 5th and final force, the one that you could argue underpins all the others, planetary health. Now, this isn't just about the environment in some abstract way. This is about the stable platform that our entire global system runs on. Scientists have identified 9 of these planetary boundaries for a safe operating space for humanity. And we've already crossed 7 of them. And when that platform gets wobbly, everything gets destabilized. Okay, so we've got our 5 forces: food and water, energy, tech, demographics, and planetary health. But here's the thing. The real story isn't about looking at them in isolation. It's about what happens when they collide. Because they aren't just sitting in their own little silos. They are constantly, and I mean constantly, crashing into one another. So yeah, what does happen when they collide? This is maybe the most important question for any leader, any strategist to be asking today. The answer to this question explains that feeling we all have, that constant volatility and uncertainty. The real action, both the risks and the opportunities, it's all happening right there in the collisions. And we can get a handle on how these collisions work by looking at 3 key dynamics. Just think of them as cascading dominoes, converging rivers, and accelerating vehicles. So first you have a cascading effect. This is basically a domino chain reaction. Let's say a conflict somewhere disrupts fertilizer shipments. Okay, that one event then cascades into lower crop yields for farmers. And then, all of a sudden, the prices at your local grocery store are going up, maybe thousands of miles away. See? Cascade. Then you have a converging effect. This is where two or more of these forces smash together and create a whole new reality. A perfect example is demographics converging with technology. You've got an older population, but thanks to new tech, they're healthier for longer. That convergence creates completely new industries around longevity, and it forces us to rethink everything we know about work and retirement. And finally, there's an accelerating effect. This is where one force hits the gas pedal on another one. I mean, look at this. The exponential growth of AI, that's our technology force, is creating a massive, and I mean massive demand for water to cool all those data centers. This puts just incredible pressure on the food and water force, creating a really dangerous feedback loop that's speeding up right under our noses. So, wow. In a world where everything is constantly colliding and cascading and accelerating, how on earth do you navigate? Well, the answer isn't some new app or a simple checklist. It's about developing a completely new way of thinking. And the metaphor here is to think like a master tailor. A great tailor doesn't just pull out a pre-made pattern for every single customer. No way. They understand the principles so deeply that they can create something totally unique, perfectly fitted, almost from scratch, just by looking. It's intuitive. And that gets us to this crucial difference right here. The made-to-measure approach, that's just taking the old templates, the old frameworks, and plugging in the new numbers. But bespoke reasoning, that's something else entirely. It's about building a new mental model from scratch for each unique problem, which is what allows you to see all those hidden connections between the forces. You see, it's about mastering the process of how to think, not just memorizing what to think. It's the skill of deep reasoning and clear sense-making that lets you cut through all the noise and actually turn all this systemic chaos into a real strategic advantage. Ultimately, this is really the essential craft for our time, right? Seeing these forces clearly, understanding how they collide, and then having the mental tools to actually chart a path through all that turbulence. The old maps just aren't going to help you here. Gravity is a law you can't break. But if you understand its principles deeply enough, you can build the rocket ship that escapes its pull and charts an entirely new course. And that's our explainer for today. I think the real question this framework leaves us with is a really personal one. In a world of cascading, converging, and accelerating change, how will you draw your map?